What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now in today's video, we got some big news to go over, and this is regarding Churchill Capital potentially merging with Lucid Motors. And we're going to go over an article discussing how Lucid Motors is potentially nearing a SPAC deal with Churchill Capital. And then towards the end of the video, I'm also going to touch on the new factory that Lucid Motors recently completed and how that could have a big effect on Lucid Motors going forward. But before we actually jump into the video, for those of you who are new here, my name is Evan and I make videos showing you guys different ways to make money in the stock market. So if that interests you guys, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss when I upload. Also, if you guys wouldn't mind hitting the like button, I would really appreciate it, and it lets me know that you guys enjoy these video updates every day. But taking a look at Churchill Capital's share price today, they're up right around 30%. Now that's a huge jump in a single day, let alone in like a week or a month for certain stocks. Now, of course, we know Churchill Capital is a SPAC, or a special purpose acquisition company, and their main goal is just to bring a company public. Now, there's been a lot of rumors floating around that Churchill is going to merge with Lucid Motors and bring Lucid public. And the reason why there's all this hype around Lucid Motors is because they're the next EV company and they could possibly give Tesla a good run for their money. But again, as you can see today, Churchill is up about 30%, and this is on news that a potential merger is very likely in the future. Now, on the 1 week, you can see that Churchill is up actually over 60%. And even though they did have some pretty sizable jumps throughout this past week, you can see it's pretty much dwarfed by what they did today. And this is from an article potentially confirming a merger between Churchill and Lucid. So the article is Lucid Motors nears SPAC deal as Klein launches financing. And I do want to start by saying this isn't 100% confirmed, but I think a lot of investors are looking at it that way, especially with all the things we've seen over the past month, because I'm sure most of you guys know that this started back in early January, somewhere between early and mid-January, and that's where a lot of these rumors about Churchill merging with Lucid started. But it says here that Lucid Motors is getting close to a deal to go public at roughly $12 billion for their valuation. And this is after veteran dealmaker Michael Klein's blank check acquisition firm launched a financing effort to back the transaction. And for those who don't know, this would actually be one of the biggest mergers in recent times. And it says that the merger between Lucid and Klein's Churchill Capital 4 Corporation would be the biggest in a string of deals by electric vehicle makers such as Nikola and Fisker that have recently gone public by combining with different SPACs. So Churchill Capital actually initiated talks with investors in order to raise $1 billion by selling shares in a private investment in public equity, or PIPE for short. And this transaction for the deal was with Lucid, and different sources stated that the size of the PIPE could reach $1.5 billion or more based on investor demand. And these funds would also be in addition to the $2 billion that Churchill raised in an initial public offering, or their IPO, back in July. And according to some sources, which aren't actually stated here, it says that Lucid and Klein agreed on the key terms of the deal. But if the PIPE fundraising concludes successfully, a deal could be announced as early as this month. So again, I do want to stress that it's not confirmed 100%, but all this news coming out recently within the last couple weeks especially, it seems like every day there's new rumors about a potential merger. And like I mentioned in my last video about Churchill Capital, at this point they almost do have to go public with Lucid Motors. And if you guys haven't seen that video, I would urge you to go watch that first. But I basically explain how all this investor interest around Churchill Capital potentially merging with Lucid Motors, it's definitely put them in a sticky situation. And if they don't end up merging and they don't come to a deal and agree on certain terms, Churchill is pretty much going to plummet back down to $10 or possibly even less and lose even more investor interest than there was originally there. So at least in my opinion, and with all these rumors that we've been seeing, I think the likelihood of Churchill actually merging with Lucid Motors is very high at this point, and I'm very optimistic that it's likely going to happen at some point in the near future. Because I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but Lucid Motors is actually planning to release some vehicles in spring of 2021. So that's only in a couple months here they're going to have vehicles on the road. And at least in my opinion, that would be the perfect time to go public, or even better would be to go public right now and raise more money even before they launch their vehicles and get them on the roads. Because then with the launch of their vehicles, they're going to get a lot more investor interest. And if they're already public, that's going to benefit Lucid a lot more than if they wait to go public for a few months into the future. But all the details about this PIPE fundraising, the people who provided these confidential details requested to remain anonymous. and Churchill Capital also declined to comment, as well as Lucid Motors did not immediately respond to a request for comment. So again, this leaves you to think if nobody's commenting on what's happening, they either don't want to get involved or they don't want to spoil something that's going to happen. And I'm inclined to think it's the latter, and I think that this merger is going to go through at some point in the near future. But going back to Churchill's price, they actually have surged more than 300% since Bloomberg's news report in January. And again, that was early to mid-January. And that's when all these talks began about a merger with Lucid and Churchill Capital. But just like any other SPAC, Churchill Capital is a shell company, and their goal is to raise money in an IPO to merge with a private company. Now, I did mention that earlier, but the difference between Churchill Capital and a lot of these other SPACs is that they've actually merged with quite a few other people in the past. And a couple of these companies include healthcare services company Multiplan Corporation and analytics firm Clarivate. And so Churchill Capital, and especially Michael Klein, who a lot of people are familiar with in the SPAC industry, they definitely know what they're doing. And from what we've seen in the past, if Churchill and Michael Klein are able to merge with Lucid Motors, this is going to be huge, and we're going to probably see some astronomical gains in terms of Lucid's share price once they merge. Now, the thing about SPACs is that recently they've emerged as a very popular IPO alternative for different companies seeking to go public, and it also requires a lot less regulations and more certainty over the valuation that's going to be obtained. And a lot of investors have been keeping a close eye on all these SPACs because they're especially on the hunt for an electric vehicle startup hoping to catch the next Tesla. If you guys are familiar with the deal that Fisker had, they've delivered very handsomely for SPAC investors. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, Nikola has given up a lot of their short-term gains. But again, like I've mentioned before, I think if this merger does go through, and it looks like it's very likely, we're going to see some nice gains, much like what we saw today with them jumping up about 30% in a single trading day. Now, I also want to show you guys the Arizona factory that Lucid just completed, and this is under the guidance of CEO Peter Rawlinson. And if you aren't familiar with Peter Rawlinson, he was actually an engineer at Tesla. And so if you guys haven't done a lot of research on Lucid Motors or looked into them, with Peter Rawlinson being an engineer at Tesla, it leads a lot of investors to believe that this company is going to perform very similar to that of Tesla. But going back to their factories, their first factory in North America was purposely built for all electric vehicles. And this is actually the first out of 4 planned phases for the Lucid Air. And it's going to enter series production this spring, like I mentioned earlier. And from this manufacturing plant in Arizona, the capacity is going to be an estimated 34,000 vehicles per year. Now, once the second phase is added, this is going to increase to about 90,000 vehicles per year. And this probably means more than 50,000 electric SUVs. And then once they complete the factory 4 phase, this is going to be a combined manufacturing capacity of up to 400,000 cars per year. And Lucid does also have a separate factory 6 miles away, which produces their drive units, their power electronics, and their battery modules and their battery packs. So you can see how Lucid has a very good game plan, and they really could be a good competitor with Tesla. Now, I'm not saying they're going to overtake Tesla, because I definitely don't think they can anytime soon, considering everything that Tesla has and all the data that Tesla's collected from their vehicles on the road. But I wouldn't be surprised if Lucid overtook Tesla in the next decade or so. Now, of course, this is just a guess, and we're going to have to see once they actually get vehicles on the road and see how many vehicles they can put out their first year of production. But I really think that Lucid has a very good outlook, and I think once more people start realizing that Lucid is an American-made company, just like that of Tesla, people are probably going to start getting more on board with Lucid, and there's going to be a lot more investor interest than we've seen even so far. Now, for those of you who made it this far into the video, I want to know if you guys are actually investing in Churchill Capital as of right now. And if you are, what's your average share price and how many shares do you own? And if you aren't invested in them yet, are you planning on investing in Lucid once they go public? And maybe you're just waiting for that certainty to know that Lucid is going to go public? Or do you not plan on investing in Lucid at all? So again, let me know your guys' situation down in the comments in terms of Churchill and Lucid Motors. And if you guys haven't signed up for Webull, make sure you guys sign up using the link in the description. And when you sign up and deposit $100, you'll get 2 free stocks. And if you guys want to join the Discord, make sure you guys join using the link in the description. Or you can also use the top pinned comment down in the comment section. And if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like because it really does help out the channel. And with that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you back here in the next one. Bye.